take that onto the court today and make those adjustments.
SMU feeling confident heading into this match. These two teams meet for the second time in about 24 hours as Northern Iowa. They lost Thursday night to Texas A&M, also here at the McLeod Center. First time since 2021 they have lost consecutive matches here at the McLeod Center.
And those types of situations when they've lost those consecutive matches are against those Power 5 conference schools. Coach Peterson traditionally schedules that tough non-conference schedule to challenge and prepare themselves. Our last non-conference game before we enter Missouri Valley Conference play.
SMU winning 25-16, 25-23, 25-11 yesterday as we're underway. And Maya Tabron with the big swing. Northern Iowa wearing the black uniforms today as she begins right where she left off yesterday. Maya Tabron with the kill, and it's a 1-0 lead for SMU.
I watched the first and second sets from last night's match. Tabron, everything is advertised on those first two swings.
Tabron, 6'1", grad student. Jay said this is a very experienced team for SMU as far as age goes.
We look at their roster, grad transfer. The portal is alive and well and helping out SMU this year.
Tied at 1, Northern Iowa's Cassidy Hartman, 5'11" sophomore serving. And we see a look at Natalia Nusa getting the start today with the injury to Naya Shamay. UNI gets some help off the net.
Hartman with that dig and also making that back row attack. It'll be interesting, those legs, back-to-back matches. Northern Iowa plays a lot of 3 matches in very short period of time on previous weekends. This will just be a back-to-back scenario, so hopefully they'll have some fresh legs.
Strike by Kira Fowler. UNI hitting the ball well. That was a problem yesterday. Their hitting attack efficiency very low. As you see, Foster with her first block. Good rally here between these two teams. Back set and hitting it long. Well, that can frustrate you. It's good defense by SMU. And finally, UNI hits it long.
I like how Northern Iowa mentioned cleaning up their hitting errors. Yes, that was a hitting error, but a lot of good attempts keeping the pressure on SMU. SMU doing a nice job digging those and sending them right back to the Panthers.
Ellie Bolton, the libero for the Mustangs with the serve. SMU ranked 22nd in the country. First time ever that they have been ranked, as Olivia Chernagle puts down her first kill.
Northern Iowa just having a nice start coming out this match. The third set yesterday was a bit of a blowout, so good to see them kind of put that to bed, put it behind them, and come out with a solid start to set 1.
And Jamison Wheeler coming up with the attack. Wheeler, 5'11" junior, puts ties the match at 3 apiece. Yeah, how critical is it for UNI, just on a confidence level, to be competitive here in this first set?
Just get themselves established. Could try to put some of that stuff, again, those things that happened yesterday, put that to bed. Can't let those things linger and get in your head. It's like, hey, fresh day, new 3 out of 5 match.
SMU is 7-3 on the year. UNI now below 500 at 5-6. Panthers have played a very competitive schedule. SMU, a really big win on their resume. A sweep over then number 2 Nebraska, and they also picked up a win at then 18th ranked Baylor in Waco in 3 sets.
One of those clubs that's growing, some of it through the portal, but the Coach Erger doing a nice job recruiting. I know one of their assistant through the club volleyball circuit, Trent Sorensen. Just interesting listening to him, how they're growing their program here in the 3 years that he's been there.
5-3, UNI with the early lead as Reese Booth, one of the two setters for Northern Iowa. Near pin, there's Fowlert. Running it down, though, is Tabron. And SMU stays alive. Another effort by Fowlert, right at Tabron in the back row. And SMU with a terrific back row defense, and then they get the point.
Wheeler with that solid side out. It's tough to hit that ball that comes from, probably ends up being at least 30 foot in the air and comes 30 feet cross court. Jamison with a nice swing on that out of system ball.
5-4. Northern Iowa with the lead. Back set, and there's Lily Dykstra from Northern Iowa out on the court. And tooling it off the hands of the blockers is Nadie Okamore.
Okamore is a long, physical hitter running that one-legged takeoff or that slide takeoff. They call it on the backside.
And
a bit of checking to make sure. I think we had a violation.
So it looked like Wheeler is about to serve. Then she put the ball down. And now we're having discussion here. That's why we bring you along, Jay Grassley, longtime official. What's happening here?
Well, we actually have a challenge. It looks like the players aren't allowed to leave the floor during a challenge. Usually I got a pretty good beat on what the challenge is. So we'll be a quick look to see if we're going to challenge on the touch. So she is going to challenge Christina Phoebix, our R2, Tim Harlow, the R1 today up on the stand.
There's the
so each team gets 2 challenges per match. If you are correct, one of the great rule changes we made, if you're correct, you get to keep your challenge. A few years ago when we initially brought it in, you got 3, but even if you won, you lost your challenge. So, which is never seemed very logical to any. So Fowler blocks it.
Yes.
If it touches the back of Okamore going out of bounds.
So it did not touch Okamore, and point goes to SMU, and we're tied at 5. Our third tie.
Yep. That kind of threw me a little bit. Our table is directly by Okamore and that block that Fowler attempted, and I didn't see it, so it's interesting on why that was challenged. But
5-5, back to action here in the first set. SMU trying to win here in Cedar Falls, back-to-back days after winning in 3 sets yesterday. Going cross court, and that hit the antenna out of bounds, and Northern Iowa
Wheeler trying for
takes
that
the point.
Tabron trying that tip off the outside just over the block, hitting that antenna.
Kira Fowler, senior from Maplewood, Minnesota, serves as good passes on target, and that leads to Tabron putting down the kill as she has just been on a roll.
Tabron's just got a good vertigo, 6'1" hitter, very athletic, going high, just outside of the block over Dykstra and Selner. Northern Iowa just missing the dig.
6-6. Now we're going to see Casey Battenhorst coming in to serve for the Mustangs. Pitched by Sam Erger. And in the middle, UNI showing success.
Nice to see Selner, Northern Iowa. That's the first attack attempt we've had by a middle. Getting that good pass out of serve receive, trying to get our middles more involved so that spreads out the blocker. You got to respect that middle attack.
And there's the freshman, Newsom. Again, she's in for the injury to Naya Shamay. And Shamay, yesterday going after a ball, hit her shin right on one of the chairs out of bounds and got a kind of a gash. She played through it yesterday, but I think just precaution. They're having her sit out today's game.
Might have been one of those you just don't want to risk it early in the season. They're getting ready to attempt open their conference schedule, and SMU joining the ACC this year, so they're getting ready to open their conference. Good to see Rewert's another one of our middle attacks for Northern Iowa out of serve receive. I'd like to see us see Northern Iowa get some middle attacks out of transition defense. Those are even tougher to stop and tougher to read as a defense.
UNI serves it long with Sydney Golden. It's another tie, 8-8. Already 5 ties here early. As we see Maya Tabron. SMU ranked 22nd in the country, and they're picked to finish 6th in the ACC. I think that kind of shows the talent for the conference.
Well, good solid conference talent, and but also a little bit of respect too, because those coaches, you know the reputation of SMU because they were a qualifier last year for the NCAA tournament, but you don't quite know what those other we haven't played them. How good are they really? So for them to get ranked that high, kind of coming into the ACC preseason with that ranking is just a bit of respect for the newcomer.
Yes, they're Pittsburgh, ranked number, who went to the Final Four last year, picked to finish 1st in the ACC. Then you have Stanford, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Florida State, all NCAA qualifiers last year, as Northern Iowa now has taken a 2-point lead. And there's Newsom tattooing that one as the freshman.
Newsom running from the right side of the court, running what we call a little wraparound or a push one, that quick attack. SMU getting their middles now involved in the match.
10-9. Ellie Bolton, another graduate student, played at Creighton, and she comes up with the ace.
So cleaning up errors, I talked a little bit in that pregame about hitting errors, also reception errors, ways to just keep yourself involved in the game, not letting that ball hit the floor or making right guesses or getting your technique right to keep that ball in play.
Bolton, the libero, yesterday's match, SMU went with a 2 libero match.
Fowler hitting that overpass. Rewert's had a great, again, I love that Northern Iowa's getting those middle attacks. As a middle hitter, when I used to play the game, I enjoy watching those middle hitters get involved. Rewert's actually getting an overpass, teeing up Fowler off the dig of SMU.
Oh, and a rejection. Natalie Foster as UNI now takes a 2-point lead, as the Panthers, who were outblocked by a 3-1 margin yesterday, showing some aggressiveness at the net.
Hopefully those scouting reports that might have come into play, what do they like to run out of certain rotations and how can we defend them?
Just climbing the ladder as Jamison Wheeler, as she puts down the point. Well placed, 12-11.
Sometimes when you can climb up and look at that play and see that something's open, and just that power tip, that hard throw down to find the middle of the court is tough to defend.
Brooke Frazier, coming off the bench, will be now serving. And she's another graduate student, went to Texas A&M. As 2 different philosophies, as Wheeler gets another kill to tie the match. That SMU, a lot of transfers off the portal.
Wheeler just jumping inside that block. And Chernagel, one of the better blockers for Northern Iowa, just trying to win those solo battles are always tough. Hopefully she can dial that up a little bit better. There she gets an offensive kill off of the SMU block, hitting the antenna.
13-12 midway through this first set. So UNI, after getting swept yesterday, hanging strong against the 22nd ranked Mustangs. As Reese Booth, true freshman, serving for the Panthers. Wheeler finding success on that far pin right now, as it's now a tied at 13, but Wheeler getting a lot of good looks on that far side pin.
Northern Iowa formulated some good offense out of that, but an attack error.
This is Fowler, partially deflected. Tabron, Okemore keeps that alive with the quick reaction, but that's way long.
Northern Iowa turning back. Their staple, their calling card is good, solid defense. Maybe not necessarily a great, the dominant blocking team, but good backcourt defense, making a team take extra swings.
Another serving error by Northern Iowa. Back and forth we go.
Northern Iowa, both teams want to serve tough to keep everybody out of system. You don't want that. You don't want your opponent to be passing serve receive, just off center up near the net. So you got to serve tough. You're going to make some errors on tough serving.
Next point, we'll have the immediate timeout as ball to the near side and getting through the double block, Cassidy Hartman. Back set. And the Mustangs. Tabron with the block. And it's a 15-14 lead for SMU. Let's take a break. You are watching The Valley on ESPN.
What's Danny doing?
He saves so much.
University of Northern Iowa hosting SMU, Southern Methodist University out of Dallas, Texas. Mustangs ranked 22nd in the country. They have a 1-point lead, 15-14, as Casey Battenhorst serving for SMU. Mustangs coming away with a 3-set sweep over UNI yesterday. They're 7-3. Northern Iowa 5-6. And a passing error puts the Mustangs ahead by 2.
A little bit of miscommunication. A lot of times a backcourt player will hit that backcourt attack where Dykstra and Fowler got a little confused on who was going to go on that play.
Battenhorst from Houston, Texas. Her serve is long. And it's a 16-15 match right now. SMU with the lead. Another block, and then we have Sealy Cullen, the setter, getting into it.
Good block by a little miscommunication by the Northern Iowa setter, misconnection on that, but a great block by Southern Methodist, penetrating across, making sure the potential push by Rewerts didn't make it over. So credit to them for paying attention, even though a missed play by Northern Iowa.
2-point advantage for SMU, trying to go down the line, but missing is a Northern Iowa's Lily Dykstra, and now it's a 18-15 and lead for SMU as Northern Iowa calls the timeout.
Northern Iowa trying to settle this rundown situation where you trying to just calm your team down, making sure, again, those thoughts of the previous match don't come back into play where, situations in set 3 or set 2 last night when, enough of a lead potentially could have closed it out. You got to make sure that doesn't come back, settle your team down, but a little 3-1 run coming out of that media timeout, not a good look for the Panthers. So SMU's doing great things, making sure that they're putting that pressure on Northern Iowa, keeping them out of system or not letting Northern Iowa get connected or getting going. There's
Bobby Peterson. There's Sam Erger, now in just her 3rd year. Last year they won the American Athletic Conference. That was SMU's first conference title since 2016 as they went 26-7. She was a longtime assistant at Baylor. And
3rd year at a program to get a win, not just qualify, but get a win in that NCAA tournament is a big deal.
Sealy Cullen with the serve. As now SMU opening up now a sizable 19-15 lead here late in this first set.
Tough serves by SMU there. Northern Iowa just really kind of had one option out of that.
Serve by Cullen. And the block on Cassidy Hartman. This time Hartman gets the swing down off the hand of the blockers for the Mustangs. Much needed point for Northern Iowa, 19-16. Again, SMU playing without one of their stars, Naya Chamay today, who cut her leg yesterday in the match running into a chair. Getting the start today is Natalia Newsome. Trying to drop it over was Chernago. Oh, and they were able to get it across. Good volley going on, but it's hit long. And
Powers had a coverage ball. We call it covering the blocker, covering your hitter off the block, cover that ball. Somehow popped that thing over the net. I was surprised it made it, but a very good cover by Powers there. The Northern Iowa attack out of bounds. SMU doing their thing to win long rallies, putting extra pressure on Northern Iowa, even though they don't get a kill block, but just another, making Northern Iowa take another swing.
I'll tell you what, Ty Braun got that dig in the back row. She is just an all-around good player, isn't she? Front row, back row, she does it all.
Just had a good all-around player. Northern Iowa running like a 6'2", a few Hartman, Fallard staying on the court. Yeah. Tabron staying on the floor all the time, a true 6 rotation player and just a great all-around athlete with a perfect pass right there for SMU.
In system, and Jamison Wheeler pounds that, and now it's a 21-17 lead for the Mustangs.
Wheeler with that quick shoot. Tabron, nice pass. Great push to the outside by Cullen, but Tabron with that one-on-one block, just cutting it inside of Chernago.
Cullen right on target. Now here's Wheeler swinging away. Northern Iowa's Fallard. Oh, beautiful dig by the Bolton. Fallard, second attempt blocked by the Mustangs. UNI will try the other side. There's Tabron again all over the court. SMU gets the point. UNI giving them everything they could, but defense leads to offense for the Mustangs, and now UNI will use their second time out. 22-17 as the 22nd ranked Mustangs.
Great defense by SMU. Coach Peterson having a quick talk with her assistant coaches before she goes in to deliver a message. Great to always take a look at Coach Peterson's resume. You know, a legend here at Northern Iowa as the then Bobby Becker, now Peterson. Sweet 16, couple Sweet 16s on the resume. More so the
two other pair of daughters here. So
good, just one of those probably first volleyball families of Iowa.
Yes. Bolton ready to serve, and now UNI on a precarious position, down by 5, and able to get the quick attack, and the Casey Rewerts with the point.
Chernago actually with that kill. They flipped positions with her. Chernago had been a middle hitter in previous years, played some right side, a versatile player. So just trying to get your players with experience to the ball, try to get your way out of a rally.
On. So Northern Iowa trying to battle back. Now down by 3.
Fallard catching that sideline on that swing. Just smart inside, just been getting it around that bigger SMU block.
Now SMU with the timeout. So the Mustangs on the road. So, Jay, is this going to be next year UNI will go to SMU for a pair of matches then?
Yep. Talked to Coach Soren, the associate head coach Sorensen before the match. Northern Iowa returning the favor. A lot of these schedules, similar to a lot of sports, basketball, football, people scheduling home and homes. So hopefully an opportunity for Northern Iowa to establish themselves and pick up a win. Maybe go on the road next year and play that tough non-conference schedule. Might be one of those pre-conference events that Northern Iowa goes to down at SMU.
So quick timeout for the Mustangs.
Yeah, interesting quick timeout, as you mentioned. Northern Iowa has kind of been at that 3-point mark here since the 18-15 timeout by Coach Peterson. Might just have been a quick check to say, let's make sure that we know where Northern Iowa's key players are. Let's identify, let's make sure that we know what we're doing. We don't want them to get close and put a little push on here late in the first set.
Erin Powers, 5'7" senior with the serve. She is the libero for Northern Iowa. And, that was a tough pass to Cullen, close to the net. Somehow was able to set that up for
Turns her back to the net.
Yeah.
Yep. And was able to avoid a center line and a net violation. You got to stay, you can't touch the net during play, during the act of playing the ball. Also got to avoid the center line. We don't want people getting injured on either side. So you did a great job avoiding a violation on that tight pass.
Foster with that kill for SMU. Overpass and pounding that one down is Sealy Cullen, setter. And now we are at set point.
Celia, the setter, showing off her attack skills.
UNI. There's Fowler. Trying to end it. Oh, and tooling it off the block is Okamore, and it's SMU winning the first set 25-19 as SMU gets challenged but pulls away late to win here in the first set against Northern Iowa. We'll be back with second set action right after this. This is The Valley on ESPN. The individual leaders in that first set kills. Jamison Wheeler, 16 for the Mustangs. Northern Iowa led by Cassidy Hartman. And similar to yesterday when SMU swept the Panthers, Northern Iowa really struggling to get that hitting percentage going.
Well, early on in the set, we get stat sheets at each of the major timeouts. Started out Northern Iowa hitting 231 at that 15-14 mark, but then fell off to that 111 hitting percentage toward the end of the match. Credit to SMU when you start going against that bigger block. Now they only had 2 official blocks, but when they make you take extra swings or force you into an error, instead of getting blocked, I've got to make sure I get around that block. Might cause that hitting error. So the length of SMU very much coming into play, even if it's not a termination block.
So ready to serve will be the Mustangs, coached by Sam Erger, in her 3rd year at SMU. And she has quickly turned this program to a top 25 team. As Maya Tabron begins the serve, and we're underway. And UNI from the far pin comes up with the kill. There's Cassidy Hartman.
The length of SMU causing problems. Hartman not just hitting the floors. There's ways to get a kill. You can put it inside the square, but if you get that touch, so ways to train that part of the game, and that's something that Cassidy works on in the off season. 7
kills now for Wheeler.
the adjustments without Chimay in the lineup. 10 kills yesterday, but Wheeler just picking up her game and just coming out on fire with 7 kills through barely one set.
And controlling that first contact so far for SMU. They have been sharp. UNI, pretty good serving team, but has not phased the Mustangs at all.
A lot of initial parts of the serve and pass is always a big key for every coach you talk to. Serve and pass, serve and pass. How tough do we serve and how well do we receive it? Northern Iowa, traditionally also a good serve receive team, needs to clean up their reception game.
And somewhat in the middle, there's Chernagle as she puts down the kill, and we're tied at 2 apiece.
So that a reception error on the previous one, but then a perfect pass coming out changes your fortune a lot.
Notice like several of the UNI players, they got the kind of the sweatpants look, which became kind of vogue about, what, 2-3 years ago we were talking about?
Right, different players, you know, some players run hot, some players run cold. They want to keep warm, you know, or some are fighting injuries and want to make sure their legs and body stay warm. Other kids run hot and just want to make sure they're staying cool. So it's a personal preference as long as they meet the color requirements.
Mustangs look for Wheeler. Powers is in the back row for Northern Iowa. And hitting it long, though, is Hartman. 4-2. Serving is Foster, and she is a grad student. Played at Wichita State before transferring to SMU. And she really makes a difference for this SMU team with their 6'4" length. And she gets the ace serving.
She has that hybrid top spin serve. It's not a snap, but with that length, that 6'4" length, she's serving downhill. So it's a little different look that you don't get to see all the time. If I watched a few of the early matches for Northern Iowa, that hybrid top spin serve causing Powers some problems.
Back-to-back aces, and timeout taken by Northern Iowa. We'll take a break as well. 6-2 SMU with the early lead in set 2. You're watching the Valley on ESPN. Bothering Northern Iowa, back-to-back aces. Following the timeout, UNI guns a-blazing. Olivia Chernagle elevates and puts it down with authority.
Foster causing fits those previous serves prior to the timeout. Coach Peterson getting her kids settled down, making that solid pass makes all the difference in the world. You got to bear down on that serve receive. See how Booth can do to take SMU out of system.
And trouble for SMU. They run it down and free ball it over. Northern Iowa, Kira Fowler. Wheeler has been powerful so far in this match with 7 kills. So they're just on target every time, SMU. And they're able to bump it across. Oh, a little push. Booth has been kind of quiet offensively.
Booth with that setter dump. Normally, Coach Peterson has traditionally run 5-1 offense in the past. One of the few times as she's run a 6-2 in starting out a season. And Booth with that big backcourt to kind of get people out of trouble. Got to throw something a little different at him.
7-4. Booth's serve is long, side out. Here's Jamison Wheeler. 7 kills to pace the Mustangs. Their blue uniforms with the red numerals and white trim. Now in the ACC, that's just kind of weird. The way the several schools have moved around in the Power 5 conferences. Well, it was a good recovery by Fowler after it went over Reward's head. Okamore with the block. And tool it off. The Mustang blockers, and UNI gets the point.
Tabron got tooled off the antenna. Earlier in the rally, Coach Erger had challenged a touch, or touch, non-touch, which could be part of that 4 contacts.
What's going to watch the replay here? Did UNI hit it 4 times is the question.
Well, and there are parts of this too. Sometimes it's very early in the rally. Actually, I think it was on this play right here, or one of these plays here. They wanted 4 contacts, but the first contact back cannot be. First contact can be 2 contacts as long as it's a single attempt to play the ball. Hartman's coverage of the attack by Fallert was 2 contacts as it hit her up near the shoulder and then maybe down by the forearm. I think that Coach Tim Harlow, our first referee, is saying that was 1 single contact. I'm not, unless there's a different play, but she was up immediately. That Coach Erger was just looking for that 4 touches on this ball. Touch, 3. She wanted that 4, and that's where Coach Erger on your right side of the monitor was begging for that 4 contacts.
Lily Dykstra tooling it off the hands. So the point will go to UNI. They're not calling it a 4th hit. It kind of just rolled off her arm.
Well, and the ball has to be catcher held, and you can call 2 contacts on the first play if it's different attempts. If she'd swing at it twice or hit it with 1 arm and kick it, and maybe make it look like a second attempt.
Back set on the slide, Okamore. And long, or out of play, Dykstra's attack.
Fallert Hartman doing a lot of the heavy, getting a lot of the kills. Northern Iowa needs to find other players to contribute, getting good attempts.
Now this will be Casey Batenhorst with the serve for SMU. Dykstra high, gets up and puts down the kill after that high back set by Booth.
Good to see Dykstra come after a hitting error. Again, people are going to come to you again. You got to make an extra attempt. Found the floor on that one. Hopefully her confidence will pop up.
Caitlin Sellner serves for Northern Iowa. SMU leading 8-6 in the second set. They won the first set 25-19 as they pulled away late to grab that victory. They're coming off a 3-set sweep against Northern Iowa yesterday as well, so they feel good about themselves right now. And SMU, just their size and athleticism has just really stood out here in their matches against the Panthers. Powers, nice dig, and UNI able to bump it across. Powerful hit by the freshman Newsome. Really good rally going on, and UNI will get the point.
Great defense by both teams. We've seen in a couple previous rallies, SMU running balls off way over by their bench or near where their other players are. SMU and Northern Iowa had a couple where they're running balls down. Fun to have a huge arena where athletes can show off their talent.
And the net, the friend of UNI, Sydney Golden. And now the Panthers have cut the Mustangs' lead to 1, 9-8.
Wheeler almost got that ball up even after it caught the tape.
Oh, an overpass. And Northern Iowa now 3 in a row as the Panthers tying this up. for the third time in this second set.
SMU's been very solid on serve receive. Surprised to see 2 errors back-to-back by them.
Foster hammers it down off the block, and back on top goes
Foster
SMU.
running a very nice slide to take that one-legged takeoff, a slide, a runner. It depends what part of the country you're from, what you call it.
Well, she is a difference maker in that front row, isn't she? Tough serve, handled by Hartman. And then Hartman was the last touch.
Actually, a net violation against SMU was the signal.
So point UNI, 10-10. We're going to see Grace Makota, one of the seniors for Northern Iowa, with the serve. Oh, beautiful, quick set. There's Newsom.
Newsom, the replacement, filling in for Chimay. Just not a tall, you think of traditionally your middle blockers are very tall. At 5'11" would be considered an undersized middle, but a lot of coaches have gone to that. How quick are they? Can they, if they can do something else, they can maybe close that block on the antenna, or she's a bouncy 5'11", plays much bigger than her height. Chernaga with that right side attack.
Yeah, Nia Chimay not playing today for SMU, ranked 22nd in the country. She cut her leg going after a ball yesterday in a chair and played through it, but just a precaution. They're holding her out today. Okamore block. Man, Okamore and Foster, boy, they put so much pressure on you, don't they, as UNI
finding your way around that. Yeah, find your way around that length. Over it is always going to be difficult, but finding your way around it or catching the top of that block, they definitely present their problems.
There's Foster. Had a couple aces last time serving. And
back row block on Sydney Golden. Sydney, the setter's running that 6'2" Northern Iowa setter, is always going to be in the back row. And back row player could not participate in a block, or once the ball goes in the plane, Okamore forced it into the Golden as a blocker.
The bullet by Foster out of play. 13-12. SMU leads here in the second set. They won the first set 25-19.
Foster almost an attacker from that service line at that height and that trajectory she brings. Makes that passer for Northern Iowa make that snap decision. Is it good or not?
Reese Booth with the serve for UNI. That Wheeler again.
Wheeler and Tabron as pin hitters. Very athletic, very quick swings, finding the gap in the block. They're the good pass of SMU, splitting up the Northern Iowa block, making it a little easier for Wheeler to get that kill.
A break for the UNI Panthers as the ball goes into the net, and the serve by Foster's. 14-13. Tight one between UNI and SMU, and UNI trying to break through and get a victory against the 22nd ranked Mustangs. Won yesterday in a 3-set sweep, and then winning the first set today. There's Dykstra, who's had success on this near side pin. And
Dykstra getting going, a recruit as a left side hitter, coming out with Coach Peterson running out of high school, with Coach Peterson running that 6'2". Needs somebody that can contribute on the right side besides just Chernago. So Dykstra has been trying to find her way at a different position, but contributing for the Panthers.
Free ball bumped over by Northern Iowa. Back set, Okamore in the slide. Nadine Okamore at 6'4" from Carrollton, Texas.
Cullen, the setter, the 5-1 setter, that front row setter, allows that slide attack to happen a little more frequently than what Northern Iowa will have with the 6-2.
And Tabron all over the McLeod Center, able to run that down. UNI will try the dump. Nope, and put over. And finally, UNI gets the point on the long rally, and that's got to give them confidence. They've lost a few points like that earlier today.
Northern Iowa's total package defense, good block, good digging, winning a lot. You traditionally win a lot of long rallies. Good to see another contributor, Dykstra, getting a few kills here right in a row on this run through the front row.
15-15. Punched across by Booth. For the lead, and UNI ahead 16-15. Lily Dykstra playing a big role in this second set. Can UNI finish the deal here? And well, they get an ace.
Sellner, the middle for Northern Iowa, with the libero can serve for one rotation. Usually it's a middle. Probably then got to have one of your other middles be a good enough defender, a good enough server to try to challenge.
Oh, tough break. Foster trying to get out of the way, and it hit her left shin.
Sellner with back-to-back aces. Dykstra contributing as a right side hitter through the front row, picking up points where you don't necessarily expect him traditionally when that middle has to serve for a team. You don't expect much. Make a serve. Hopefully we can get one out of that middle serving.
Cassidy Hartman led UNI in kills yesterday and is doing a lot of work today for the Panthers. As we take a look at some of what she has brought to the table.
Hartman is that six rotation player for Northern Iowa, someone that they rely on finding different ways to get kills. Lead all-stater out of Liberty High School, has changed roles this year as last year as a true freshman. Good enough to play, found her way on the floor as just a defensive specialist, but versatility and good enough this year, and earned a spot as a six rotation outside hitter, primary passer. Doesn't carry a lot of load.
8 kills.
Northern Iowa getting some other contributions from Dykstra on the right side. We talked in the pregame about finding other people to contribute. Dykstra on this run through the front row has picked up 3 kills. You know, a lot of times in one set, you're hoping to get 3 total kills just in one trip through the.
Back to action after the timeout taken by the Mustangs through the double block. It's, you know,
Tabron with that forcing one through. Northern Iowa had it defended pretty well, but Tabron with that jump and that hard power swing forcing it through.
Tabron had 15 kills yesterday. Not quite the impact offensively for the Mustangs in today's match. And UNI holds a 3-point lead here late in the second set. And you see confidence growing on this Panther team.
Hartman catching the top of that block, and it actually did find the corner. Northern Iowa with those 6-2 subs. Golden back in and Chernagle into the front row.
Mustangs go for Tabron and puts it down.
Tabron's just a hanger. She's up. Really actually takes just a quick second to survey and see what the block's giving her, potentially even the digger. She's just up, takes a look, snaps it to that open corner in that particular case.
Tabron with the serve. And oh, clean block. Is that out of bounds?
Just out of bounds off
okay.
of Foster and Newsom.
Look how close that is.
Just barely missing that sideline.
So it's
other ways to get kills. You know, it looks impressive when you pound it right in the 10-foot line. Against bigger blockers, you got to find different ways to get it done.
3-point lead for UNI. They're serving, and Wheeler hits it into the net.
One of the few miscues we've seen by SMU. The set by Cullen just a little low. Trying to keep it in. Wheeler trying to keep it in, didn't quite get it done.
Wheeler had 7 kills, Jay, in that first set, but only 1 so far here in the second set. So Northern Iowa now is 4-point lead as they try to tie this up at 1 set apiece.
Northern Iowa in yesterday's second set had a late lead, let it get away from them. A similar situation. Coach Peterson and her crew probably talking about that. I'm sure Coach Erger from SMU is giving the same, hey, we did it yesterday. Let's keep imposing our will on them and trying to find that way to, you know, come back and steal that. Don't let the Northern Iowa crowd get involved.
So the UNI right now 5-6 on the year. SMU 7-3. UNI preseason favorite to win the Missouri Valley Conference for the 3rd straight year. Panthers went perfect in the Valley last year, which is incredibly difficult to do.
Always hard to run the table in any of these conferences.
Big point here for both teams. Oh, and Golden just could not get enough on the pass.
Newsom with that push through. The set was a little low. Cullen's had a couple, I'm sure from her standards, a couple miscues or misconnections. I'm sure she'll try to clean those up, and I'm sure hitters encouraging her to say, hey, get me up a little bit, make sure I can get a good swing.
Ellie Bolton trying to rally SMU as she serves. Tabron, another tremendous dig in the back row. Look at her, flies, keeps the ball alive. Can't say enough good things about my Tabron, as the SMU will get the point.
Tabron with that good coverage ball. A lot of times you're close to net on coverage. That was actually a deeper block. And Wheeler with that quick snap down the line. SMU's hit line on some of their late last few swings from that left side hitter. Look for Northern Iowa to try to make some adjustments, whether it be blocking or digging.
22nd ranked Mustangs trying to rally, but UNI in the middle, which Casey Rewerts. And again, so far, early into the 12th match, the middles haven't become a real force for Northern Iowa, so that's has to make them feel good. They get point production there. 22-19. Back comes SMU within striking distance.
Wheeler, good pass by the libero to keep Northern Iowa spread those blockers out. When you watch matches at home, look how often teams get 2 solid blockers up versus a single or a late block. If you see 4 hands up there, makes life very tough on your hitters versus, you know, just 1 set of hands.
Gonna look for Jamison Wheeler, blocked by Northern Iowa. Wheeler this time, little tip. Wheeler goes with the full swing that time, and off the hands of Okamore, and Northern Iowa now in a good position to take this second set. They're up 23-20.
Grace Makota stepping in, filling that hole, so the adjustments that people need to make, or a read by Makota on Wheeler, who's been just pounding the ball and getting terminations. Put her arms right in there, made that great dig to keep the Northern Iowa rally going.
UNI 2 points away from grabbing the second set. And Fowler makes it set point. Kira Fowler has the Panther fans here at the McLeod Center on their feet. (24-20). Northern Iowa with the lead, and the serve is long. Can SMU rally? Here's Jamison Wheeler. He's played a big role for the Mustangs. Ready to serve. Fowler, and out of, oh, you're gonna say last touch. And UNI gets the point.
Actually a net violation against,
and UNI
to end the game.
UNI will win 25-21. So Northern Iowa finally able to solve SMU as they, it's now one set apiece as we'll take a break. This is The Valley on ESPN.
Teams take the philosophy of really challenging themselves to prepare for that big part of the conference, those automatic bids that come out of conferences. Northern Iowa, whoever wins their conference tournament. The ACC going a little different style. They do not have a conference tournament unless they've added one with all the teams they've added, but their regular season champ will earn their bid.
Nia Chamay not playing today for SMU. She was injured yesterday, cut her shin going after a loose ball. And there's Newsome who came in to replace her. Natalia Newsome, as she gets the quick lead for SMU. 1-0.
Newsome get that middle hitter trying to coach, maybe during Coach Erger, maybe during that break, said, hey, let's get our middles going again. Let's keep that Northern Iowa block split up. Keep them honest.
Cassidy Hartman, 11 kills now. She picks up her first here in this third set. Hartman, a 5'11" sophomore from North Liberty, Iowa. A lot of Iowans on this University of Northern Iowa roster. Ooh, and there's Jamison Wheeler. She's just takes your breath away at some of those.
She's sort of the exclamation point kind of player, where when she gets her kills there, it moves the floor, where a Hartman is getting her kills off the top or tooling blocks. She's kind of getting them straight down and putting the Northern Iowa Diggers in trouble.
It's an ace. 3-1 as Ellie Bolton. And she's another one of the grad students on this experienced SMU team. She played at Creighton prior to coming to Dallas, Texas to be part of this SMU roster.
SMU putting the pressure on from that service line, whether it be actually getting the ace or just keeping Northern Iowa out of system.
Bolton to Wheeler. UNI gets a hand on it. Foster sends it long. 3-2. SMU here in the third set. We're tied 1 set apiece. Mustangs won the first, 25-19. UNI taking the second set moments ago, 25-21. Okamore, 6-foot 4-inch swing into that one.
So with 4 points by the Mustangs, 1 on service ace, but of the other 3, 2 of those were both to middle attackers. Might be that point of emphasis by SMU coming into this game. Let's see if we can win the battle of the middles.
Foster off the net, and that's her third ace in this match.
That downhill serve has a little bit of topspin on it. And with that 6'4" and those long arms, making it very tough as long as you catch that tape and it rolls over.
Again off the net. UNI recovers. Tabron sends it across. Oh, and there's another point for Northern Iowa. This time it's Kira Fowler.
Fowler with that little push wipe off the block. That was a little low. Northern Iowa bringing in their substitutions for that 6-2 with Booth and Dykstra. See if SMU goes to that middle tack, or Cullen on the front row. My prediction, Okamore on a slide to the backside. Or not.
Well, go to the pin, Wheeler. Tapped across by Northern Iowa. Wheeler, and gets the kill. Yeah, she is, her kills emphatic.
Wheeler swinging hard. She doesn't get cheated out of her swings, just that powerful, good jump. Again, does look around too and sort of surveys the court and puts that ball quickly and with force.
She is a Texan from Austin. Oh, terrific play by Bolton, the libero with the dig, and that leads to Tabron getting her kill to put it SMU ahead by 4, 7-3. Fast start for the Mustangs. Bobby Peterson, head coach for UNI, has seen enough. She calls for a timeout. You're watching the Valley on ESPN.
Hey Panther fans, I'm Megan Franklin, your new Director of Athletics at UNI. I would like to invite you to attend our incredible sporting events this fall. Our ticket packages have something for everyone, including our new young alum.
Wheeler leading the way with 12 kills, and she's serving right now for SMU. Boy, I don't know if this is intentional, but there's another serve that goes off the net, falls in for an ace for the Mustangs.
Those short serves, their coaches, I run coaching drills where I want kids to try to hit the tape and make one go over. Probably not intentional, you don't always win that, but that's how tough you want to be, keeping that ball near the net.
So it's a 5-point lead for the Mustangs. There's Okamore. And now SMU, maybe UNI woke a sleeping giant, because they have come to play here in this third set.
I'm not sure when their flight home leaves, but they may not be happy that Northern Iowa took that set from them, and you're right, may have woken them up.
Rewerts in the middle. Selner, correction. Selner with the point for Northern Iowa. Stops the run by SMU.
That good tempo, that good pass. Once Northern Iowa handled it, didn't catch that tape or wasn't thrown off, we're able to get the ball in system a little easier.
Okamore. Ball nearly goes to the rafters. UNI able to get it across. Back set, slide, Okamore, and then UNI coming up with the block. Cassidy Hartman.
Okamore, that physical, needs to use that height or keep that ball up. I think her and Cullen right now are talking about where was that set. Could that have been higher? Good solid block by Hartman and Selner.
Maybe Okamore. Oh, nice little tip. UNI able to run it down. And the point, boy, a terrific dig by Sealy Cullen. Boy, SMU, they play outstanding team defense.
Very good team defense. That's what the first backcourt swing we've seen by SMU. Wheeler a little bit out of system, but Wheeler made that big backcourt swing. The first one we've actually seen them take. They definitely want to run their offense to the front row, where other clubs might have that back row attack as a different option or part of their offense.
Another ace for the Mustangs. Casey Batenhorst and Bobby Peterson calls a timeout right now as her team struggling with the serve reception. So UNI, well, let's look at the schedules, road schedules coming up here for SMU. They'll be opening up ACC play coming up later this week on the road against Georgia Tech and then at Clemson.
Georgia Tech, Clemson, Syracuse, teams in that ACC not ranked, but there will be other teams.
Serve receptions right now, having some difficulty with those short serves put up by the Mustangs.
Well, the strategy too by a lot of teams, you know, serving tough, whether it be tape or just dropping it barely over the net, getting the catching the receiving team off guard.
There's Dykstra, the big second set as UNI won 25-21. Hits that, trying to cut that ball.
Just missing that sideline though. Errors that are like that are easier to deal with as coaches. Yes, you'd love to have it catch that sideline, but a smart swing, avoiding block, probably 1 or 2 boards out, but an error nonetheless.
So Panthers going into the middle.
Sellner running that back one. When you think that setter runs across, sometimes you think, oh, they're out of system, they have to set it. Sellner stayed available, and Reese Boothfinder with that little back set.
You're down by 6 midway through for Northern Iowa. What has to be the game plan right now as we have to come back from a deficit, pretty big deficit.
Tabron went up and actually tipped that off the antenna, those red and white stripes. That was like the second red or third red stripe up. That was way up the ladder.
UNI.
Sellner with another service ace. Position you don't expect to get points on. You're hoping for the best. Maybe we can sneak one out, but that service ace by Sellner is kind of a big deal.
Tabron with a quick reaction after the initial attack by Natalia Newsom.
Yep. Tip, power tip off the block. Tabron just bounced really fast with a back tip. She's a quick, dynamic, but also just quick off the floor.
Celie Cullen yesterday, she was number 1 in her jersey. Today, back to her familiar number 3. Surprise Tabron, a rare mistake for her. So that goes off her and out of play. 13-9. Northern Iowa down by 4. Serving to the Mustangs, making their first trip to Cedar Falls. Oh, block on the freshman Newsom. And UNI down by as many as 6. Now it's cut the gap to 3.
Rewert's one of those blockers. A Drake transfer is climbing the Missouri Valley Conference in career blocks, helping out Northern Iowa as a middle blocker.
There's Tabron. And it's now 14-10. SMU, and now here's Tabron. Yesterday she led the Mustangs with 15 kills as SMU swept UNI in 3 sets. Ooh, that was a quick attack. And
Chernago getting a bounce ball of her own. So not always the middle attacker attacking in the middle, the right side hitter in this case, running a little different pattern, but something she's used to as a middle hitter from the previous season.
A little pep in her step after she crushed that one. Side out after the serve into the net.
Northern Iowa putting a little bit of a run on here, not a big run, but closing that gap a little bit from those early timeouts that Coach Peterson took.
Ellie Bolton. And this time pulling this string, and it's Wheeler.
Wheeler had everybody on her heels the way she's been pounding balls. Everyone gets back and they get ready for that heater, and just hard to make that go ball. And the smart play by her just to change it up that one time and, you know, maybe get them rushing in and attacking that dig before she turns the heat back up.
16-11. SMU ahead by 5. UNI goes into the middle, and this time it's Rewards rejected.
Looks like those sets are a little bit low. Yes, Okamore is a long physical blocker, quick penetration across the net, but I think we can set those a little bit higher, Booth and Golden. We need to make our middle hitters as long as we possibly can by setting the ball, high enough for them.
Back up to a 6-point advantage are the Mustangs. And down official saying what? We have
Net violation against Northern Iowa.
Now,
just that aggressive when you go up, try to really want to penetrate, go across. You train your blockers to go across so that ball will drop down. Playing with inches there, and Turnagel just had that net violation.
and the lead opens up now to 7. There's SMU flexing their muscle despite one of their top players out today. That's
just missing that end line on that transition play. Coach actually thought there was a touch. Players, a lot of times the players will tell their coach to challenge or not challenge. Even the players shook her off and said, nope, there was no touch there.
I think it really shows as Wheeler gets the kill. Jay, it really shows the depth of this SMU team. I'm sure if this was an NCAA tournament game or a must-win for SMU, we would have seen Nia Shimei today. But I think Coach Erger certainly feels confident in the other members on this team.
Well, playing it safe, heading into the conference part of your season is a big deal, so you want to make sure that you're ready to go for that.
Block, it's the setter, Cullen, and now it's a big 20-12 lead as the Mustangs, after losing that second set, they are taking it to Northern Iowa here in this third set. Foster, another ace.
Coach Peterson used up her timeouts early to not let the game get away. The players for Northern Iowa are going to have to figure it out, and it's going to be tough to do with Foster, that long jump serve catching that end line in the last one, and see what she dials up this time.
It's at least 4 aces today for Foster. And that is in.
Northern Iowa bearing down on serve receive. That previous pass for serve by Foster, a service ace, coming back with a good pass. Splitting that block up for SMU.
SMU 7-3. Their losses, 2 of them were in 5 sets. The other got swept by a very good Kentucky team. So they have been very competitive all season long. As Wheeler adds to her kill total. She has had a tremendous afternoon.
Wheeler's just has shown the total package today. She's had hard driven shots to a lot of areas on the floor, catching sidelines or the corner, a high tip a few rallies ago, a nice little roll shot into the middle just prior to that era on that particular play.
Service aired. Still a big hole for UNI, trying to battle out of down by 8 here late. We're going to see Kira Fowler with the serve. Chernagel's long. Oh, excuse me, Hartman correction. Hartman was the last touch.
Harlow, Tim Harlow, the first official, called the touch, went solo on that one, had that one all by himself. The up official can pretty much be in charge and overrule or make final judgments on calls, and he didn't need the line judge's help on that one, just took it right from him.
You have a lot of respect for Mr. Harlow.
Oh, yes. He's definitely one of the good ones.
Tabron puts down the point, and now it's 23-15.
We've seen a few roll shots or where just the attacker will go up super high and just kind of roll it or pop it over, put a little top spin on it. So the heat that SMU's been bringing previously is changing up. They're making sure they're smart with their shots, and changing how they get their kills.
Dykstra has been quiet in this third set after a big second set, but she gets the kill, 23-16.
Making opportunities for Dykstra to get kills. Quick substitution and libero replacement for SMU was the slight delay there.
Mustangs will look. Tabron gets it in. And a tough cut across the court. Now we're at set point, 24-16.
And there was that harder attack. So
yeah.
Tabron went roll shot previous attempt 2 rallies ago. Then that one just heating it back up again.
Sealy Cullen, setter for SMU, trying to put down the Panthers. And that's point for Northern Iowa.
Northern Iowa looking to potentially find some momentum. Our line judge thought the set was over. He's retreating back to his position.
Tabron tools it off the block, and that will wrap up the third set. So SMU looks impressive as they win 25-17 and now have a big 2-1 lead over Northern Iowa. Fourth set coming up right after this from the McLeod Center. This is SMU with now 17 kills. Also in double digits is Maya Tabron with 10. Cassidy Hartman, UNI's leader in kills this afternoon with 14. So the
Wheeler and Tabron doing a lot of the work. Be interesting to see. It looked like in the previous set 3, as they came out, SMU really emphasized some middle attacks to get the middle blockers of Northern Iowa to stay honest or not be able to get out to those pins on Wheeler and Tabron.
Mustangs trying to grab their second win over UNI in as many days as we are underway in this fourth set. Chernagle coming up with the block and the point.
That misconnection by Cullen doesn't happen very often. It looks like Wheeler gave her the quick, hey, gave her the thumb to ask her to get that set up, and Cullen kind of gave the nod. I think she kind of knew she didn't connect with Wheeler.
Service air, 1-1. There's Bolton. And boy, her enthusiasm is infectious when you watch Ellie Bolton. You can just tell she just loves playing volleyball.
Well, a lot of those players in the backcourt are the ones that are the energizers for their team. They're flying around. They're not the ones getting those termination kills, which is that obvious something that people get excited about.
Oh, no.
So they're finding ways to keep their energy up.
Kind of a challenge here as UNI felt that was last touch by the Mustangs. So very early in this fourth set, Bobby Peterson
making that challenge.
So now we'll
be curious to see on that attack. It looked very much out. It might be one of those two that if there was a touch, do we have the video proof? Again, players might know whether the defense walks over. Sometimes you see those kids in the huddle kind of give that little nod, like, did you touch it? Yeah, coach, I got it. You know, and just keeping that down on the down low amongst friends. Yeah. But they'll know, the players will know. But do we actually have the video proof? Will that net cam show it? There's about 6 cameras around. Will also have access to our footage if they choose to use it. They're not as quite as strategically placed, but it is something they can use.
So they're checking that out. Naya Shimei, let's see here. We got the net cam.
Got some different looks there. Oh, they showed us a couple looks. We'll see what they kind of get.
So this was what occurred And now does it touch? Nope. They're going to say the play. Call stands. And it's a point for the Mustangs.
Similar to a lot of the new replays, it's can we actually prove it? Yes, it may have happened, but can somebody see it?
We are at the McLeod Center on the campus of the University of Northern Iowa, Cedar Falls, Iowa. SMU making the long trip from Dallas, Texas to take on the UNI Panthers. Yesterday, SMU won in a 3-set sweep. And they lead 2-1 here in the 4th set. Oh, Tabron, what a dig. And SMU gets it over. Oh. You see a player like, Tabron, she's double digits in kills. She could be a back row specialist the way she plays that back row.
That versatility, you can't sub everybody in and out of the game. You only get 15 total subs. So you need those players like Wheeler and Tabron that can roam the backcourt and make great defensive plays for you.
There's Wheeler, and that's going to go out of play off the wrists of Aaron Powers, the libero for Northern Iowa.
Interesting watching Cullen set as a club volleyball coach. I train my setters to square up to their target a lot, and it's just something that her accuracy and how she delivers the ball. Her ball placement is amazing. Just a little unorthodox from a sort of a volleyball coach that would train it differently.
Wheeler's long, trying to go down the line.
Scramble play for Northern Iowa over by the score table. End up winning that long rally, forcing that hitting error against Wheeler.
Now they see the freshman coming in, Aaron Power. That's going to be Reese Booth coming in. She'll be serving for Northern Iowa in their black uniforms. And it's an ace. Powers. It's a 6 ace for UNI this afternoon.
Northern Iowa's had some success at the service line too. The obvious number that SMU had 9 is a lot for even through 3 sets. Northern Iowa with their 6 now, that's quite a few too.
Tabron adds to her kill total. We are tied at 4. UNI coming into today with a record of 5-6. Misleading, though, they have played a really tough schedule against several ranked opponents. SMU 7-3. And they own wins over then second-ranked Nebraska and then 18th-ranked Baylor. That win at Baylor was in Waco in 3 sets, and that had to feel good for Coach Sam Erger, who had been a long-time assistant for the Bears.
Well, a lot of the coaches will take care of their coaching tree as they branch out and take their spreading their wings to be head coaches, that they'll return the favor.
Cullen tries the dump, but there for Northern Iowa's Caitlin Sellner.
Sellner doing a good job. That's those setters you don't think of as attackers, but that Cullen, that front row player, has that option to attack above the height of the net.
Hartman leading Northern Iowa in kills this afternoon. Okamore makes it now a 7-4, excuse me, a 6-5 score. SMU pulls within 1. SMU winning the 3rd set, 25-17. They kind of controlled that after jumping out to a big early lead. And knocked out of play by Fowler.
Batenhorst's sister played a few years at Nebraska, is actually finishing up her transfer year at USC, so she'll be in the Big Ten, still in the Big Ten, now that USC has made that jump.
Talking about sisters playing volleyball, Sam Erger, the head coach for SMU, had 3 older sisters that played volleyball as well. So that's Very athletic family.
All that stuff runs in the family. You have that older sister that does it, the next older sister. We have the Peterson family who's, they've just that volleyball's in your system and it's in your blood.
Celie Cullen ready to serve for the Mustangs. We're trying to take this match up 2-1. UNI goes in the middle and rejected is Casey Rayworts. Again,
Newsom, that not what you say wasn't a large presence. The difference between her and the 6'4" Okamore, and then her at 5'11" is just different. She's quick to the outside and a quick jumper, turning back that Northern Iowa middle attack.
Natalia Newsom getting the start today with the Nia Chimay sitting out with that cut on her leg. And now the Mustangs on a roll here. As they have
Newsom stepping in out of system a lot. When that setter makes that first dig, somebody's got to step in and take that second ball. Newsom, not the obvious choice, but had to make the play and gave Tabron a nice assist.
UNI scrambling after the serve by Cullen. Cullen will set it up, and there's Newsom. Oh, out of play, and it's UNI pulling within one at 9-8.
Newsom, that quick jumper, just missing that sideline.
Here comes Sydney Golden to serve for the Panthers. UNI, the preseason favorite to win the Missouri Valley Conference. They won the conference tournament last couple of years and participating in the NCAA tournament.
Tabron's really starting to kind of just slowly rack up the kills. Not keeping up with Wheeler, but nice to have that pin hitter, can get you out of trouble. Also getting a lot of just plays in system where she's getting one-on-one blocks because of the good solid passing or defensive play of SMU.
Fowler struggling. She wants last touched. Won't get it. And it's a 11-8 as
they're a little frustrated with the line judging. Hard to see those when they're hit that hard, or again those little just barely fingertip touches.
In the middle, Rayworts, a little tap. Oh, nice. There's Wheeler. And SMU up by 4. Timeout. Northern Iowa's the Mustangs starting to pull ahead here in Cedar Falls as they try to win today's match. Already ahead 2-1. And so danger for Northern Iowa. We'll take a break. This is The Valley on ESPN.
I didn't do this for the lights or the fame. I did it to pay it forward to the next generation of athletes and pass on.
12-8, up 2-1. As Maya Tabron, who's had a good weekend against Northern Iowa with the serve.
Hartman with that back row attack. Northern Iowa uses that back row attack or that pipe attack, or maybe a bick a little shorter out of the center, set a little more of a tempo set. Use that as part of their offense, where SMU has been very much, they've made one back row attack. They're very much forcing the ball to the front row.
Hartman has 16 kills now. Chernago bumps it over. Cullen looking for Wheeler. 20 kills for Jamison Wheeler, having a huge afternoon.
Wheeler just keeps bringing it. Again, that to me, unorthodox setting style of Cullen, but her delivery and her placement is just spot on, and you can tell Wheeler and Tabron, actually all the hitters are SMU, are very well connected with Cullen.
Wheeler putting the ball away this afternoon. Cullen this time looking for Foster. And rolls off the net, not out of bounds. And now 14-9, SMU, 5-point advantage. Bolton serving for the Mustangs. And SMU making their first trip ever to Cedar Falls, take on Northern Iowa. And they have been impressive this weekend. UNI.
Rewerts with a little different look as on a right side. She's still the middle hitter on the lineup sheet, but taking a right side swing. A little versatility in the Northern Iowa offense.
Good dig by Powers. Hartman's attack into the net.
Just missing, I think, be interesting to see if the Northern Iowa staff, as they go into conference play, look at it, set positioning. I've seen a few that I'm kind of, as a coach, just as a commentator on this, trying to see if those positions aren't quite right. Maybe the set should be a little higher, working on situations of getting the ball in a better position, where that SMU set of Cullen seems to be very well connected with her players, and just a little crisper with Wheeler and with Tabron, or with those middles.
Timeout taken by Northern Iowa. Wheeler with 21 kills now for Northern Iowa. Upcoming schedule for the Panthers. They'll be heading into Missouri Valley Conference play. They'll open up Valley action at home against the Southern Illinois Salukis. And then it's Missouri State, and a couple road games at Valpo and UIC. And UIC picked to finish second. It'll be interesting to see how SMU can do in the ACC. Now a new member there. They were picked to finish sixth in a really strong conference. Pittsburgh picked to finish first after making the Final Four last year. After the timeout, Chernagel gets the kill, and UNI down by 5. Has their work cut out here, trying to rally here in this fourth set, trailing 2-1.
I'm sure it's one of those where, coming out of these timeouts, it's, hey ladies, what are we going to do to be competitive? We need to compete for every ball, every opportunity, every touch, and see what we can do to get out of this hole that we're in.
6'4", Nadine Okamore pounds it down, boy. Okamore and Foster, that is, again, two exceptional middles for SMU. Hartman leads Panthers in kills, but that's
just
trying to hit the line out of play.
Just outside of that attack, trying to catch the edge of that block, that serving pressure that Wheeler keeps putting on too. Has been tough for the Panthers to handle. That short serve right there has been trouble.
And Jamison Wheeler, an ace. And so the Mustangs ready to close the door here on their trip to Cedar Falls.
One of those short serve that Wheeler keeps dropping in there. Northern Iowa needs to make that adjustment or read it quicker off her hand.
I said this yesterday. I thought the Jamison Wheeler, good country singer name, right?
Could go with that, I suppose. Sure, down at the Stockyards in Fort Worth, she might get some play.
So UNI trailing by 7, 19-12. And for Northern Iowa, a rare 3-match losing streak here at the McLeod Center. After a tough week for them, as Texas A&M beat them in a hard-fought 4-set match on Thursday. And then with the victory by SMU yesterday, and it appears today. Little dump ball played well by the Mustangs, but out of play. UNI cuts the gap to 5, 19-14.
Coach Erger stepping up to encourage her team, make sure that they're closing out, making sure they're playing the full set. Don't let Northern Iowa get that opportunity to make that comeback.
And look at this. UNI on a run. Now it's 19-15. It's enough, Coach Erger. And she asked for the timeout. So the Panthers showing some life here in this fourth set after being down by 8 just moments ago.
Hard to read those facial expressions. I think a little bit of a frustration the previous point, saying, hey, come on, Mustangs, let's kind of keep after this. Let's finish this out quick. After that hitting error on an out-of-system play, went right to that immediate timeout. Didn't slam the clipboard down, but crouched out in front of her players and kind of dropped it a little bit. I'm sure more of a little bit of a wake-up call.
Stats right now. The hitting percentage has gone down here for SMU.
And a couple hitting, one block in there, a block during this set helps that a little bit. That's almost a double where there's an attempt and a block, which helps bring that down. But I think, and that might be
15. Oh, and almost the point for Northern Iowa. And Fowler, who has struggled today, finally gets that through a double block, and now UNI only trails by 3.
Fowler with that big swing, the numbers, it's going to be a rough day numbers-wise for her, but she's one of those leaders that Northern Iowa looks for.
Oh, and almost an overpass, and UNI, look at this. They have now scored 6 in a row, and it's 19-17.
Coach actually taking Tabron out of the game, coming in with Gentry Lamarand.
It's a surprise. Tabron has played really well today. As set it up, Dykstra, hits it way long. As now the Mustangs up by 3, 20-17, and will be serving.
Northern Iowa kind of closing that gap, putting some forcing that Southern SMU timeout earlier.
Casey Batenhorst serve. Now 11 aces today for SMU.
Where Northern Iowa has been a team, their reception errors have been very low, even in the tough competition they've played. I'm sure something that surprising Coach Peterson, that would be one of those areas that would get them or cause them problems.
And that's long. Boy, Powers got out of the way. The final moment as that just missed.
I think that ended up a little bit closer than she thought to that end line. I think we're even going to see that challenge.
She had a great facial expression after
on that in-out ball. Let's see if
that is.
Oh, that'll stand out. We'll be out of here. We'll be back quick. I'm sure Christina will be taking a look at that one, even on the footage, the motion camera that we are showing you at home is not quite as stable. The cameras, a lot of the angles that they have are stationary cameras. So hopefully should be a little bit quicker look by our second official. Might be that quick breath for SMU too. Also a timeout opportunity for Coach Peterson. She used both of her timeouts. So any sort of little strategy or something that she might see that she could feed her kids in a particular rotation, or get them something as they come out of this timeout at 21-18, not done. Be interesting to see if the Panthers can give their home crowd something to get excited about.
So it's I'm surprised it's taking this long here.
That one looked pretty quick to me. I mean, sometimes it does take a little bit to dial up the footage. Again, they'll ask for, hey, I want camera number 2 might be the end line. And sometimes that footage might take a little bit for them to feed back. There it is right there. So hopefully that'll be that look.
It was close, but out, and so it's going to be 21-18. Northern Iowa trails by 3 to 22nd ranked SMU. It's the Mustangs. Again, trying to close the door on a pesky Panther team that has played them hard. SMU physically, with their size, their athleticism,
Interesting.
at times have dominated, but UNI got to admire the Panthers' energy and scrappy play, staying close here.
Not sure what the quick discussion is between the second referee and the coaches are for SMU.
Oh, just coming in, there's a Gentry. Lamoran with the kill. Well, she looked fresh, didn't she? Lamoran.
Bit about sometimes those back-to-back games, even though it was a little quicker game yesterday, might have bounce.
Yeah.
There were a couple hitting errors by Tabron, so that might have been something prompted coach to say, hey, your position not locked in. We got somebody that can help us out, so you got to stay sharp a whole game.
Fowler's long. So now it's 23-18.
Fowler, that competitor, wants that ball back again. She kind of gave her the nod. We'll see where it goes. Not sure if she'll get it, but she's been just missing quite a few of those shots.
Cullen serve deep in the back. Oh, and the big block. How about this? Gentry, Lamoran just coming in, gets the kill and a big solo block, and now it's match point.
Lamoran making an impact even just in this short few points she's been in.
There we are, match point. 22nd ranked Mustangs looking for their 8th win of the year. Fowler, great dig, back row, and Lamoran. Instant offense coming off the bench as the Mustangs come up with the victory, 25-18, and win in 4 sets over Northern Iowa. So SMU ranked 22nd in the country. They put together a pretty good show this weekend. This is a very talented team. I'm impressed.
SMU with that, worthy of that 22nd ranking they're currently holding. I'll be curious to see if they bump up in the next polls. They got a little depth, bringing somebody in to help finish off the game, but good showing by Northern Iowa, also playing that tough non